Hey, welcome to the Six Fantasy Football Podcast. We got an awesome show coming for you tonight, today, this morning, this afternoon, whichever time you're listening to this show. We're going to be talking news of the day and news of the past couple weeks, doing keeper discussion of our champion, runner-up, and third-place teams, as well as getting into wide receiver rankings. And we might even talk a little bit about the Pro Bowl. Stay tuned to check out what we're going to be talking about on the Six Fantasy Football Podcast.
Welcome to the Six Fantasy Football Podcast with your hosts, Zach Schaefer and Jeremy Flores.
Welcome to the Six Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm your host, Zach Schaefer. You can find me on Twitter at Jedi Master Zach, and my fantasy team, the Jayhawks, are at Jayhawks FF. With me is my co-host, Jeremy Flores. You can find him on Twitter at _Jeremy Flores _ and his fantasy team at Bush Did It FFL. This is the Six Fantasy Football Podcast. As I mentioned, you can find the league at the Six FFL on Twitter and Instagram. What's going on, Jeremy? How you doing?
Dude, I'm doing good, man. It's been a busy week, but man, it's nice to just sit down and talk about football and talk about the Six. It's refreshing for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So I saw on Twitter, the Six FFL Twitter, according to reports, that Bush Did 9/11 may be relocating soon with destinations and possibly in California or North Carolina. What do you make of those rumors going around?
Yeah, man. Can't confirm anything at the moment because I just don't really know. But that's what's made these last couple of weeks just so busy. Ending one season of my life and going to another one, which just relocates every part of me, and that means fantasy football as well.
Yeah.
But it doesn't change that this is still the Six FFL, and I'll be a part of it till I can't see or hear or write or whatever it means for that. But yeah, so yeah, it's coming soon. I should know something by the end of this week.
Awesome. I'm sure that our Adam Schefter will report that as soon as it drops, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
All right. So let's get into NFL news of the day.
NFL news of the day.
All right. Jadeveon Clowney back to Cleveland. 1 year, $11 million. According to reports, he had offers for more from other places and actually longer term deals, but he wanted to be back in Cleveland. Do you blame him?
Honestly, probably not. Being paired up with Myles Garrett, it makes it easy because you get to look really, really good because one of them's going to get double teamed. Yeah, that's like the Rams. When they had Michael Brockers and Aaron Donald, it's like, who's Michael Brockers? Well, he went to LSU. That's cool, but he was only really good and got another deal somewhere else because Aaron Donald's always double teamed and he got a majority of the sacks. So I think and we know Jadeveon Clowney, it's pretty much a household name at this point, but I think he can do more for Cleveland. Oh, and it helps having Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
You'll be on the field much less.
Definitely help. Well, and then also with Clowney, going back to Cleveland, this is the first time he's re-signed with any team. Isn't that crazy to think about? He's been in the league for several years now.
Self-prescribed journeyman.
Yeah.
I don't understand it.
Next little bit of news. 2017, the Six FFL MVP is also playoff MVP that year. Todd Gurley told NBC, quote, "There was never, not one time where I watched the game and was like, I wish I was out there. Never, not one time."
I feel like you could have worded that a little better.
Yeah, it sounded like a double negative. You got to throw the comma in there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there was never, not one time where I, Todd Gurley, watched a game and was like, I wish I was out there.
That's easy to say when you're not Todd Gurley of old, when you were the 2017 Rams.
This is Todd Gurley at one point was, 2016, 17, 18, the best running back in the league.
Yeah, by far. It wasn't even close.
He was phenomenal. And then 2018, those knee injuries towards the end of the season it killed him. And like
it's hard to recover.
2019, 2020. I think it was 2020 when he was with Atlanta. And I mean, he had a decent front half of the season, but just continued to struggle with injury.
And it just that goes to show that like shelf life of running backs is just like not all it's cracked up to be. And it doesn't help that he was already injury prone, but like that scares you for like the Jonathan Taylors and the Derrick Henrys and like they're top 1 and 2 backs this year, but like 2 years from now, like what's going to happen. So
Jarvis Landry, your boy, the LSU alum, he's now with New Orleans. He's got a 1-year, $3 million contract in New Orleans. I know you're happy. Look at that. You're wearing the LSU right now. That's baseball, son. Not
hey, we're balling out too, so it's okay.
So Jarvis Landry to New Orleans. They also have Michael Thomas and Chris Olave. So that wide receiver room is stacked. And last episode you were on, we talked about Tyrann Mathieu and Dirty Dan Sorensen being there, and this time we get to talk offense. I do like the Jarvis Landry signing. I do really like that. I think. And I know you really, really like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm biased because I'm not only a Saints fan, but an LSU fan and always been a Juice fan. Like, always loved Jarvis, even when he was at Cleveland. But I think this is just so good, not only for him and his career, but like the Saints offense. Like, we've always like had one really good receiver, like Marcus Colston, or even like Jeremy Shockey as a tight end, or like all this, like we always just had one guy. Like Michael Thomas was that one guy. Now we have 3 solid receivers, and I pray that like this is like the speculation that we need for like Tyrann Mathieu and Jarvis Landry, just to pull OBJ in. Because if we can sign OBJ to a 1 year too, come on, man, that'd be so good. But
man, all that to go 9-8.
Dude, you're crazy. That is a hot take. We were 5-1 when Jameis was healthy.
Yeah, and
we beat the Packers 38-3.
If Jameis stays healthy too, I think this is going to be a really, really good team. And think about Jarvis Landry's not that old. He's not.
No, not at all.
Yeah, we act like he's been in the league for 400 years. He hasn't been. It's going to be interesting to see. That wide receiver room is going to be a lot of fun. Fantasy wise, it's going to be hard to be picking from those 3.
I
don't think you're going to have a Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase situation.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's possible to recreate, but
because you have to have a Joe Burrow to do that. Yeah.
I think you're going to have 1 or 2 that are
standouts,
startable fantasy wise. Next, Nick Foles to Indianapolis. That's big because of Frank Reich. He signs a 2-year deal. He gets 2.5 in 22 and 3.5 in 23 to back up Matt Ryan.
Which,
as the fantasy footballers would say, as they would say, mediocre signing of the week.
Yeah, for sure. But also like Matt Ryan, dude. Like, give him 3 games and Nick Foles is the starting quarterback.
Well, what'll happen is Matt Ryan will have an MVP caliber season. He will get hurt.
Carson Wentz all over.
Nick Foles will go to a title and
win. Yeah, he'll catch Indy special this time though.
Yeah. Nick Foles. My favorite phrase about Nick Foles is you can let him borrow your car and he's going to take care of it. And he's not going to wreck it. He's going to drive it safely. He's going to do what you need him to do. But as soon as you give him the keys and tell him it's his car, he's going to wreck it. And he's going to absolutely destroy that car.
Mm-hmm.
That's
he'll return it better than he let it. If you
lend it to him, it'll be fine.
It don't even have a full tank of gas.
Yeah,
detailed and everything.
4 new tires. Yeah. NFL owners are expected to vote on removing Dan Snyder, according to Sporting News. This could be crazy. And also with that, I don't know if you saw or heard, but the Commanders just bought, I think it was 100 or 200 acres of land in Virginia for $100 million as part of relocating there and getting out of FedEx Field.
Pretty crazy to even think about.
Yeah, I think that, FedEx Field was dumping sewage water on people last season. And it awful stadium. They definitely need to move. Washington plays in the equivalent of Oakland A's ballpark.
Yeah, seriously.
Awful.
But also, like Dan Snyder, half the time this kind of stuff, it reigns true. Like especially for like owners and coaches than ever players,
Mm-hmm.
Like if you look at any coach speculation ever, it's always like, yep, that happened, and so
Urban Meyer definitely touched that girl's butt.
But there were pictures, man. Come on.
Kyler Murray and Deebo Samuel both absent from OTAs, both in contract negotiations. Not a huge.
I was gonna say
surprise.
It probably says more about Deebo than Kyler, though. So
yeah,
like Kyler just is gonna get franchise tagged, and Deebo is like could go somewhere else. Still,
I think Kyler's gonna get a big deal. That's what I think. I think the big deal for Kyler is coming. I think at least for Arizona, you definitely hope that's the case. Deebo, and I think Deebo's isn't about money. Deebo's is about, hey, I don't want to play running back half the time.
Yeah.
Running backs get hit. I want to keep my body safe. I don't want to play running back. And I think that's what Deebo is. That's what he's discussing with San Francisco. And I think that has more to do with it than money. Kyler's is definitely money.
With that, though, does Deebo's like fantasy world change? Like he had so many touchdowns on the ground last year.
He's not playing running back half the time. I think so. Because look at this. Deebo Samuel last year, he was the wide receiver 3, by the way. Receiving wise, and we'll talk about Deebo later in the episode. 77 receptions, 1,400 yards, 6 touchdowns. That's receiving.
That's receiving now. Yeah.
That's receiving. Now rushing, he had 365 rushing yards, 8 rushing touchdowns.
He had 1,700 all-purpose yards.
Yes.
That's crazy.
but his touchdowns came on the ground,
mm-hmm.
in the trenches. I can understand him not wanting to do that anymore.
Yeah.
Because wide receivers want longevity, right? You want to play as long. All players want longevity, right? You don't want to be hit all the time.
But Jerry Rice played till he's 40 because he like ran really good routes and scored a lot of touchdowns. Like he was in the air. So
yeah. And here's the thing, I understand Deebo's whole point. I'm a wide receiver. I'm not a running back. I came here to play wide receiver, not running back.
Yeah.
And the 49ers have a history of just drafting running backs and playing tons of them.
And not great ones either. Like like having 3 mediocre running backs in the room and then.
But man, those 3
mediocre quarterback.
All right, next one. NFL discussing Pro Bowl week and a way to improve it, including possibly eliminating the game and using a Sunday showcase to showcase the players in it. Goodell said, and quote, "The Pro Bowl doesn't work. We need to find another way to celebrate the players." I want to ask you, what if you're the commissioner right now? How do you improve the Pro Bowl week?
Well, first of all, like, I don't think getting rid of it is the whole thing. Like, it's a really, really good idea. Like the All-Star game for NBA, like all these things are really good ideas. But because people don't try, like it makes it not fun to watch for us.
You don't have Sean Taylor lighting people up anymore.
Seriously, like oh my gosh. But so I feel like those people are in the Pro Bowl because they are the best of the best that year. Make them prove it. Like make them play like it, I
think one of the things I miss about the Pro Bowl is it being the week after the Super Bowl, and you get the Super Bowl players in the Pro Bowl.
Yeah,
I miss that. And honestly, here's the thing: did you watch the Pro Bowl last year?
I watched highlights. That's literally it.
Yeah. You know what they were playing towards the end of the game?
What?
two-hand touch.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I
Legitimately
remember
two-hand touch. Call it the Pro Bowl. Do a little
because
game.
Mac Jones,
Play flag football.
Seriously.
If you're worried about contact, you're worried about injury, play flag
yeah,
football.
play 7-on-7 or something.
But
make it fun.
The thing that they need to keep doing is the dodgeball game. They need to go back to doing like the skill challenge, stuff like that. Have Tom Brady out there throwing 80-yard bombs if he can. See if he can. Do that. Showcase their skill.
They should bring back the the throw and everything like that he used to do. Man, I loved watching that.
That kind of stuff would be great.
But make it after the Super Bowl so it doesn't matter. Like people don't care. They have the whole off season,
Play a flag football game and give us the skill challenge. Give us a dodgeball. I love the dodgeball game. I love the fact that they do a dodgeball game.
Yeah, and make it accessible to watch. Like put it on Fox or something. Like they make it so hard to watch.
I have to watch it on NFL Network.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do stuff like that. I think that would be great. Yeah. The Pro Bowl, and here's the thing. I think it should be an honor to make the Pro Bowl. Make it an honor to make a Pro Bowl. And like I think you mentioned pre-show, incentivize it.
Yeah, hey, make it, give them more money, something.
You made the Pro Bowl. Here's your $100,000.
Seriously. Like instead the winning team gets like 30 or something. But it's only if you win,
Now,
and quit snubbing players that deserve it.
Gosh. Yeah. Stop letting the fans vote. Let the stats do it.
For real.
Hey, question. This is off topic. Well, it's kind of on topic. MLB All-Star Game. The winner of that still gets home field advantage in the World Series, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Incentivize the Pro Bowl. Right?
Yep. The MVP of the freaking MLB All-Star Game gets a brand new car.
Yeah.
Like, come on, do something.
Something like that.
So annoying. Whatever, man.
All right. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back, and we'll get into keeper discussion. We want to thank you for listening to the 6 FFL podcast. Today's episode is sponsored by the 6 FFL store through Redbubble. We have team merch for all teams, not just team, as well as championship gear, playoff gear, and much, much more. Stickers, t-shirts, hoodies, and anything you can imagine, all on the 6 FFL store. The 6 FFL store helps us keep going, keeps this podcast going, and keeps our league going. So go grab some merch and support us today. All right, welcome back to the 6 Fantasy Football Podcast. All right, let's get into some keeper discussion. For those of you who are not familiar, let me give you the breakdown of how keepers work in this league. So we have a 6-team league, hence the 6, and each team is allowed to keep 4 players from the previous season. They have no restrictions on how many of any position they're allowed to keep. They have no penalty for draft pick. It's almost like a dynasty move. You have these 4 players that carry over. You are allowed to keep them consecutive seasons. And I mean, we have players that I'm sure will never, ever be free agents because they will be kept their entire career. That's just how the league works. It's how we've done it from the beginning, and that's how it's going to stay. So we're going to start with the Mighty Bucks. So the Mighty Bucks, I'll read their roster real quick. That way you have an idea of who's on their team. So their quarterbacks are Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert. And a reminder, the Mighty Bucks, they're champions last year, and you're going to see why with this roster. Wide receivers are Deontay Johnson, Diviso Samuel, DK Metcalf, Michael Gallup, AJ Green, Mike Evans, Jamar Chase, Cole Beasley, and McCole Hardman. Running backs are Najee Harris, Ezekiel Elliott, Antonio Gibson, and Melvin Gordon. And their tight ends, Zach Ertz, TJ Hawkinson, and Tyler Higbee. Now, each team is allowed to start 2 quarterbacks, 4 wide receivers, 3 running backs, and 1 tight end. So that's it. That is the Mighty Bucks roster. Real quick before we get into this, have you heard the DK news this week?
No, I haven't, but I know you're going to talk about it because I can see in all caps the fun fact.
So, his high school quarterback, still in college. He's now on his 5th school in 7 years. And he just committed to Mizzou.
That's so sad.
Poor guy. He ran out of options.
He did, literally. But also, Mizzou's so poverty, but it doesn't help that you just hate Mizzou too. So.
I hate Mizzou. All right. So, again, Mahomes, Herbert, Deontay Johnson, Deebo Samuel, DK Metcalf, Michael Gallup, AJ Green, Mike Evans, Jamar Chase, Cole Beasley, Mecole Hardman, Najee Harris, Ezekiel Elliott, Antonio Gibson, Melvin Gordon, Zach Ertz, TJ Hawkinson, and Tyler Higbee. So, out of those, they get to keep 4. Last year, Mahomes, Metcalf, Evans, and they eventually traded Justin Jefferson were their 4 keepers. Mahomes feels like a lock.
Yeah, which is keeping a quarterback's always scary though because there's
if
so
he lets
many.
Mahomes go, he's going 103 in the draft.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, no, he's going 101, man. Unless he doesn't keep somebody else on this list, but
yes, Mahomes. I think Mahomes, knowing Austin, knowing his history, knowing the fact that Mahomes has been on the Mighty Bucks / Leroy Jenkins roster since 2018. Since
he was not a rookie.
So since he was a starter, he was drafted in the 17th round by Leroy Jenkins, won MVP that year in the NFL and in the 6.
Yeah.
Following year he was kept. Following year he was kept. Following year he was kept. He has been on this team this entire time. I think Patrick Mahomes is a lock. Now the question is, do you think it's within the realm of possibility that Herbert is also kept? The preseason. I mean, we have them ranked. We have Justin Herbert is the 3 and Mahomes is the 2. You get the 2 and 3 quarterback if you keep both.
But you have to let go one of the top.
You have to lose
6 receivers.
Antonio Gibson. You got to lose either Deebo or Jamar Chase or Metcalf or Najee. You're cutting. There's cutting somebody.
There's 2 of those guys that, like, if you let either of them go, they're going 101. Like, there's no questions asked.
Says the I feel like drafting 101.
Mm-hmm. I mean, dude, if there's a sliver of a chance that Jamar Chase is available because he's not kept, not only am I the largest LSU fan you'll ever meet, but he's one of the best receivers in the league with one of my favorite quarterbacks ever. So, I would take him 101. Yeah. So, I feel like Jamar Chase has to be a lock.
I would agree. I mean, we have him as the wide receiver 2. We're going to get into that later. Wide receiver 2. And Deebo also feels like he should be a lock. And then the question becomes, do you feel comfortable if you're Buck keeping Herbert over Najee Harris? Or if you're choosing to go 3 wide receivers, keeping Herbert over Metcalf.
But here's my thing, like, man, if you keep Patrick Mahomes and then 2 receivers and a running back, you're pretty set up. Like, that is a good setup. Whereas, like, if he kept Patrick Mahomes, 2 receivers, and Justin Herbert, he has no running backs and isn't guaranteed a top, like, 10 running back.
And he's
because the rest of them are
6th.
kept.
He's drafting 6th because he's the champion. So he'll have the 106 and the 201 back to back.
But because of our keepers,
like, I mean, you're looking at team could possibly keep 2 to 3 running backs, at least 2.
Yeah.
Bush did 9/11. We'll probably keep 2. Jayhawks will probably keep 2 to 3. The Blintzes probably 2 to 3, and Defakui Tribe will probably keep at least 1.
Yeah.
Is there a running back that would be available? That is okay. Let's go down the list. Who do we think? could be available. Okay. You have Najee Harris is he's number 6. Jonathan Taylor, probably kept. Derrick Henry, probably kept. Austin Eckler, probably kept. Dalvin Cook, Christian McCaffrey, Nick Chubb, Alvin Kamara, Joe Mixon. Here's where he could find a running back. Maybe DeAndre Swift, maybe Leonard Fournette, maybe Javonte Williams, maybe Antonio Gibson.
Which are
Montgomery.
Antonio Gibson is not keeper worthy. I don't think
so either.
He's gonna drop. He's gonna drop even more, I think, because
I think so as well.
Usage and stuff. Even though he's good, he fumbles a lot though. And they signed McKinnon, Jarrett McKinnon.
They re-signed Jarrett McKinnon. They also drafted a running back in the draft.
Yeah, so it's just
the second or third round.
And DeAndre Swift is really good. He's really young, and the Lions are rebuilding pretty well.
Yeah.
So he has a possibility.
And that's saying DeAndre Swift is saying if the Blintzes choose not to keep DeAndre Swift. That's the same with Leonard Fournette. Now, Joe Mixon, DeAndre Swift, and Leonard Fournette are all on the Blintzes. So you'd have to assume they may be keeping 2, if not 3 of those guys.
Yeah. I mean, I'm keeping Joe Mixon if I'm him. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
But
that's next episode. All right. So here's my projection. Patrick Mahomes, Deebo Samuel, Jamar Chase, Najee Harris. I don't think you get a better wide receiver you can't get a better wide receiver combo in the draft.
There's no way.
From what he has, I think knowing him, he's going to take Mahomes over Herbert because of loyalty. And then Najee Harris, you're not going to get a better running back in the draft.
Yeah.
Do you think the same thing?
Yeah, I 1000% agree. Like, I think he'd be foolish to keep like Zeke or Gibson or even Metcalf like over, especially with like who they're like Metcalf's quarterback. Like that's
Drew Lock.
And then Gibson is in Washington with the running back room, and Zeke was Zeke last year. Like if Zeke was somewhat Zeke like 4 years ago, then this would be really hard.
Here's the way I always look at my keepers. Can I redraft them either with my first round pick or lower?
Yeah.
Metcalf, Zeke, and Antonio Gibson, you could get late first, definitely early second, probably late third.
Yeah.
I think those are players that you can wait on. You want to take the players you're not going to get back.
Yep.
And that's mistakes. That's been a mistake made by myself personally. And that's why I know, like, in my, like, hey, I probably could have drafted Saquon. I couldn't have drafted Nick Chubb last year. Right?
Yeah.
I should have, I could have drafted Chris Godwin 2 years ago, but I knew I was not going to be able to draft Travis Kelce.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the keeper mistake I made in both those years. Don't make the mistake. You will not be able to get. And here's the thing: he needs to choose a quarterback. He cannot take both.
Yeah,
he's not getting Herbert back.
Nope. And then you run the risk of
miracle. By some miracle, somebody doesn't snag Herbert in the late second round.
Because then Herbert is like he could be an MVP this year. And then you run the risk of him being a keeper for the rest of his career, just like Mahomes will be. It's like Then you'll never see Herbert on that team again. Like that's.
But we know for a fact Deebo and Jamar Chase do not go past the 101 if they're not kept.
Oh yeah, guaranteed. And I think I would be dumb to not take one of them.
Yeah,
like I think that would be dumb. Or 102, 103. Like so.
All right, let's move on to team. I'll read their roster real quick. They came in second place last year. They had quarterbacks Josh Allen, Tom Brady, Jalen Hurts, because somebody dropped Jalen Hurts instead of trading him.
Hey, it's okay.
It's still salty. Yeah. Wide receivers Stephon Diggs, Keenan Allen, DeAndre Hopkins, Antonio Brown, Michael Pittman, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Brandon Cooks, Van Jefferson. Running backs, Alvin Kamara, James Robinson, Aaron Jones, James Conner, Javonte Williams, Jarrett Patterson, and Mark Ingram. And then one and only tight end, the tight end one, Mark Andrews.
What a stud, man. What a sleeper, like so early on in his career to turning into like the new Travis Kelce.
And look at this list. So Josh Allen and Tom Brady were both all-pro first team in the 6. Stephon Diggs was, I believe, first team all-pro. Mark Andrews was tight end of the year. Tom Brady was quarterback of the year. This is a stacked roster. Michael Pittman was the thorn in my side because I just made such a frantic decision.
And you lost because of Michael Pittman.
I lost because of Michael Pittman that week.
So for those of you who don't know, that last touchdown.
What happened was on Sunday, I believe it was week 7, perhaps. There was supposed to be high winds and torrential downpour rain for the Indianapolis Colts game. I believe, were they playing Seattle? Do you remember?
Yeah, but they were in Indy.
In Seattle. No, it wasn't in Indy because it was windy and rainy. So I was worried about the weather. So I picked up Pittman that day. I dropped him that day, and I picked up some other receiver I'm blanking on. Well, because of the way Yahoo works, if you you pick up a player on that day, you drop him within the same 24 hours. Free agent, doesn't hit waiver wire, which is fair. I don't blame that rule. Well, team PJ picked him up, and Pittman went off, and I lost by like 6 points, 7 points. So anyway, back to their keepers. Alvin Kamara has been there since 2017. So his rookie year was 2017. He got picked up by team, and he's been on team ever since. He was drafted, I believe it was the first round of 2018 redraft. He's been there every year since he's been in the league. DeAndre Hopkins been there every year since he's been in the league, but DeAndre Hopkins is a much different case because DeAndre Hopkins is suspended for 6 weeks.
Yeah. I think you're crazy to keep D-Hop.
Yeah, D-Hop is unfortunately, and it's one of those things where I mean, we never know how the dice will fall in the draft, but DeAndre Hopkins may find his first season without being on team. Alvin Kamara, Aaron Jones, and man, before the Melvin Gordon re-signing, Javonte Williams was cranking up the draft stock ladder, and I was like,
especially with Russell. Oh, yeah,
he was going to be a first round prospect, and then Melvin Gordon re-signed, and I mean, here's the thing: Devonta Williams still had great weeks with Melvin Gordon, but one of the things you want is every week to be a great week.
Yeah,
you want every week to be a great week. Like Keenan Allen was one of those players last year. He was like Mr. Consistency.
Mm-hmm.
Keenan Allen was going to get you 12 to 20 points every week. Consistency is not bad.
No.
The issue with Keenan Allen is you want like all-star number. Like, I want 30 points a week. That's what I want.
Yeah.
I want you to pop off. I want Cooper Kupp numbers.
Jamar Chase, like you name it, yeah.
Put up 50 points. And I was going through when we were researching for this episode this week, like Keenan Allen, I don't think he topped 23 points. But there were very few weeks he was under 10.
Yeah, and it's like the nature of the beast because the Chargers like they just air the ball out a lot because Justin Herbert's so good. But what happens is they get down there and then Austin Eckler runs it in. And that's like Austin Eckler is so good because of that. Like he gets a lot of touchdowns.
I saw a stat this week. Every season leading up to this season, he had single digit touchdowns.
Really?
He had 12 this year.
Yeah, that's good.
But anyway, another one I think I think there's a distinct and strong possibility Mark Andrews gets kept.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if he doesn't keep Mark Andrews, he might go 101.
the I think the issue we run into is like the lack of, not necessarily the lack of secrecy in the league, but like 3 weeks out from keepers, everybody's in the chat saying, "All right, this is who I'm keeping." You know,
And you're like, man, you're lying, you're BSing this.
yeah.
But you're like,
And PJ has said multiple times, like what he's hinging on is, does Defakui Tribe keep Travis Kelce? Because if Defakui Tribe keeps Travis Kelce, then he plans on keeping Mark Andrews. Now,
right.
That's part of the like, hey, you're supposed to not know, but we're texting in the league 3 weeks in advance saying, hey, here's who I'm keeping.
PJ's texting me separately. He's like, hey, who's your keepers? So is Blaze, the Parkley Tribe.
Yeah.
It's like, and I think they both want to know, like, hey, are you keeping George Kittle? You know, like,
yeah.
Seriously though, like they want to see what tight ends are going to be available when.
Because I think if we have 0 tight end keepers, we have 5 tight ends go in the first round.
Nah. Dude, if Mark Andrews or Travis Kelce are available 101, one of them is getting taken. You know. So.
Another potential I see, Josh Allen. I mean, he's the QB1. You know, that's another player that I'm like, man, there's a handful of people that if they're not kept could go 101, and Josh Allen seems to be one of them. If Jeremy feels like taking a quarterback that high, and taking a quarterback that high that isn't Joe Burrow.
Dude, it's funny because I'm keeping Joe Burrow. So.
Oh yeah. I got you. So my prediction, I'll let you get yours in after. My prediction right now is Alvin Kamara, Keenan Allen, Stephon Diggs, and Mark Andrews.
Yeah. I would agree for the most part.
The one I might sub, ooh, my dog is barking. The one I might sub, maybe Aaron Jones over Mark Andrews.
Yeah,
and again, I think you talk about it's dependent on what the Fakui Tribe does. Who knows?
Which we all submit at the same time, right?
Yeah, we all have a deadline of August 16th. They're announced that day. So actually it's like August 15th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern time.
Hey, I have a rule to propose. So write this down. I'm not going to say it right now, but we can talk about it.
Okay. We can talk about it after the show. So, and then the keepers get announced the next day on the 16th, one by one. So yeah, I think Aaron Jones or Mark Andrews, I think they might be interchangeable.
Yeah. I know. I just know PJ, like the only trouble I have with Aaron Jones is PJ has so much like strife and anger and resentment because of AJ freaking Dillon.
AJ Dillon. Well, and then it used to be Jamal Williams too. So he's had Aaron Jones for several years. And then like if you look back at old rosters, he had
both
Jamal Williams on a championship roster.
Mm-hmm.
It's so funny. All right.
But yeah, AJ Dillon's a vulture. And I think he is soon to like take over because he's so young and he's
and I think the Packers have done a great job of, went from Jamal Williams to now Aaron Jones, and then soon it'll be AJ Dillon.
Yeah, they're pretty good at developing guys like that. It's cool to see for sure.
All right, next one, the Fakui Tribe. They had Kirk Cousins, Aaron Rodgers, and again they finished third place. They actually were 10-4. Kirk Cousins, Aaron Rodgers, Devonta Adams, Justin Jefferson, Terry McLaurin, DJ Moore, Emmanuel Sanders, Jerry Jeudy. Running backs were Devonta Freeman, Darrell Henderson, Cordero Patterson, Ramondre Stevenson, Damian Harris, Christian McCaffrey, Kareem Hunt, Devin Singletary, and Tony Pollard. They also had Travis Kelce and Noah Fant. There is one running back on that roster that I think is keepable.
And it's honestly like scary to keep him too. Like
it is, yeah, because he's hurt so much. He has not played hardly any in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
But that's Christian McCaffrey. Cordero Patterson, I could understand wanting to keep him. I just don't think you keep him over Like here, okay. Terry McLaurin or Cordero Patterson.
I think I would keep Terry McLaurin.
Okay. Justin Jefferson or Cordero Patterson.
That's Justin Jefferson. That's easy.
Travis Kelce or Cordero Patterson.
Travis Kelce.
Yeah, exactly. I don't view Cordero Patterson as keepable. Blaze loves Aaron Rodgers. I think Aaron Rodgers, if he's deciding to move away from Travis Kelce, I could see Aaron Rodgers.
He's a sleeper keeper
sneaking
for sure.
in. Yeah. DJ Moore is a really good wide receiver. I don't think he's keepable in this situation.
Sadly, because he's a stud now.
Jerry Jeudy with a new new quarterback. Sorry, Russell Wilson. It's a little bit more tempting, but Devonta Adams and Justin Jefferson and Travis Kelce and Christian McCaffrey, it feels like the most cut and dry.
Yeah.
For keepers. I feel like we could have asked him January 1st, who are your 4 keepers? And these are the 4, he would have said.
Yeah, I would agree. Like, you look at his roster and you're like, how do you go 10-4? But then you're like, oh wait, it was 3 receivers and then Travis Kelce. Like, that's why, because they were scoring 95 to 100 points every single game between 4 players.
And then to throw on the Aaron Rodgers stack and the Kirk Cousins stack with Justin Jefferson and Devonta Adams.
And then your random Cordell Patterson,
and Cordell Patterson just coming
20
out of
games.
nowhere. Yeah. It definitely makes sense why they were 10-4. But the fact of the matter is, these are the most cut and dry keepers I think that we will talk about over the next 2 episodes.
For sure.
It may be the Mighty Bucks, because they were so talented, were a little bit harder. This one, the you have Devonta Adams and Justin Jefferson, and then there's Terry McLaurin. The divide is so big. So, all right, let's take a quick break, and we'll get into wide receiver rankings. This episode of the Six Fantasy Football Podcast is brought to you by the Six Fantasy Football Draft, coming this August 26th to Dallas, Texas. You can follow the draft on Twitter, Instagram, the league website, the6ffl.wixsite.com/the6, as well as on Facebook, YouTube, and Spotify. All right, welcome back. Let's get into wide receiver rankings. Number 1, probably don't even need to talk about him. He's so bad.
Obvious. It's obvious.
It's obvious, right? It's obvious.
Yeah, he's a bad man. He's so good.
Yeah. Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp, man. He had a phenomenal season. And listen to this. 145 receptions. That is 22 more than Devonta Adams.
Man, insane volume.
That is 64 more than our wide receiver 2 in these rankings. That's insane.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Almost 2,000 yards receiving. He was 53 yards away from hitting 2,000 yards. Matty Icy didn't have another bomb to throw him. Get him that 2K.
Two more 30-yard passes.
We could have called him CK2K.
Oh man, that would have been.
Dang it, man! Dang it!
Wow.
Oh man, 16 touchdowns. He had 439 fantasy points in PPR. He was the wide receiver 1 last season. And you know what? We dogged Abner for drafting him at the beginning of the season. 2020, I had him. So the season before last, I had him, and I traded him straight up for Ryan Tannehill to you for Ryan Tannehill mid-season because he was so not good. And then Matt Stafford comes in. You called it the Matt Stafford effect.
Yep. Find one guy you love. Yeah.
5 receptions.
Hey man,
almost 2,000 yards.
When the ball hits your hands and you're gonna catch it every time, that's what happens. That's what happens right there. it also helps that like Matt Stafford just loves throwing to one receiver every game. Like
OBJ.
Megatron.
Megatron. Oh yeah.
Ever heard of him?
You're right. Yeah.
Hall of Fame.
All right, next is Jamar Chase with 81 receptions, 1,455 receiving yards, 13 touchdowns, and a fumble lost. We both have him ranked as the number 2 for the year. And you know what? I here's the thing. I know that he wouldn't fall to me, but in redrafts, I really like Jamar Chase.
Yeah. I mean, he is if you're in a 10-team league and you're like 7-10 and or like, especially like 9 or 10, and you can take Jamar Chase and then like a pretty good running back, man, I would do that every time.
I want to double check because I'm pretty sure this is how it is for me. I'm looking at our dynasty. Yes, I have him in our dynasty. I knew I did. I wanted to make sure because I have him and Tyreek Hill in our dynasty.
Yeah, you know who I have in our I have Christian McCaffrey. Oh,
yeah,
worst
I love
dynasty player ever.
Dynasty. Yeah, Jamar Chase, he's such a good player. We talked about him earlier, probably getting kept. There's no way he doesn't get kept. And there's no way the next player doesn't get kept. That's Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
108 receptions last year, 1,616 yards with 10 touchdowns and a fumble lost.
Man. Okay, and so we can talk about this all day, but like I have him 3rd and you have him 4th.
Yep.
And the only reason I have him 3rd is because look what he did with Kirk Cousins. Like that is with a pretty subpar quarterback in comparison to Devonta Adams, who had one of the best quarterbacks, arguably like of all time.
Kirk Cousins had a really good fantasy season last year
because of Justin Jefferson.
Yeah. He had a really good fantasy season last year. And Devonta Adams, I have him ranked higher than you do. The only reason Devonta Adams isn't ranked 2nd for me is because of Derek Carr. Mm-hmm. If Devonta Adams is still in Green Bay, do you have him ranked 2nd?
3rd.
Behind Cooper Kupp?
I for sure have him ranked 3rd because I still think Jamar Chase being younger and like only going to get better. Devonta Adams is like at his ceiling, I think. Like Devonta Adams is what Devonta Adams is going to be for the next couple of years. Jamar Chase
was a rookie last year.
That was his rookie year, man.
Yeah.
Like
imagine literally with Jamar Chase. Dream with me if you will, and this is going to be a sad dream because he's playing for the Mighty Bucks. Add 20 more receptions and 20 more receptions and give him 200 more yards, which seems really low, but
yeah, I was gonna say because he's a deep threat.
Yeah. But dream with me. That's 20 more fantasy points just in receptions.
Who's
that's 20 more? That's 20 more fantasy points in just yards.
344, and then I'm sure a couple of those are
that
touchdowns.
Alone puts him on par with Devonta Adams. Yeah, touchdowns. Here's the thing. Jamar Chase is just so good. And that was his rookie year. The issue with Jamar Chase, for me, if Devonta Adams was with the Packers, I'd have him higher. Jamar Chase, it's the room. T. Higgins, there's a lot of mouths to feed. T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, Jamar Chase, Joe Mixon. You have to feed those mouths, right? And last year, all of them had fantasy success. Is it sustainable? I don't know. I don't know. That's yet to be seen. I don't want to jump over Justin Jefferson anymore because
you're right.
we kind of did that. Justin Jefferson, he's the X.
Mm-hmm.
And again, we talked about a trade that happened in 2020 with Cooper Kupp. You want to know what happened in 2020 with Justin Jefferson? He got traded to Leroy Jenkins by myself for AJ Brown. And then AJ Brown was traded to you for Tyreek Hill. In the long run, for me, I'm pleased with that. Now Justin Jefferson is now with Defakui Tribe. He got traded by the Mighty Bucks to Defakui Tribe. Here's the thing: Justin Jefferson is a really, really, really good wide receiver. You stack Kirk Cousins on him, wow. And that's what Defakui Tribe did last season.
Yeah.
He's not leaving Defakui Tribe, and I bet Kirk Cousins manages to find his way back to Defakui Tribe and makes them even more of a threat this year. If you were in a redraft league, here's the three players we mentioned: Cooper Kupp, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, and I'd even throw Devonta Adams. They're the only four that, outside of Cooper Kupp, of course, like Cooper Kupp, if you're not taking Cooper Kupp in the first round, you're stupid.
Yeah.
Regardless of size of the first round, regardless of size of the league, 8 team, 10 team, 4 team. If you're not taking Cooper Kupp in the first round, you're stupid.
Yeah.
Now, 8 team, 10 team, 12 team, in larger leagues, Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson and maybe Devonta Adams are the 3 outside of Cooper Kupp that I would feel comfortable taking in a first round, late first round pick.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, Jamar Chase, I would not take him before Dalvin Cook, but I would take him before Christian McCaffrey.
Oh yeah, same.
I would take Najee Harris before Justin Jefferson. I would take Nick Chubb before Justin Jefferson, but I wouldn't take Alvin Kamara before Justin Jefferson. And I wouldn't take Alvin Kamara before Devonta Adams.
Yeah, I would take both of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, we already talked about Devonta Adams a little bit. He has 123 receptions last season, 1,553 yards, 11 touchdowns, and he was traded to almost said Oakland. Holy cow. Las Vegas to play with his college quarterback, Derek Carr. Here's the thing that they've talked about it up and down. He just wanted to be in Las Vegas. He wanted to be with Raiders. I had heard, I think he thought he was about to be traded to the Panthers before he was traded to the Raiders, which would have been interesting.
He would be lower on my list if that was the case.
Oh yeah. Sam Darnold throwing you the football? Yeah. Devonta Adams leaves Aaron Rodgers. He's now with Derek Carr. I hate it.
So much, dude.
I hate it.
Much.
If he's with Aaron Rodgers, he's the wide receiver 2 right now. I mean, probably, you and I would have different rankings on this. He's a wide receiver 2 with Aaron Rodgers. Hall of Fame quarterback Aaron Rodgers or Derek Carr?
I don't know if there's ever been a receiver for Derek Carr that's like, 1, had the skill of Devonta Adams, and 2, like, required the volume that Devonta Adams requires. Like, they never had like a really, really good receiver. Like Darren Waller is like the best thing, and Hunter Renfrow, really. Hunter
Renfrow is the most underrated wide receiver in the league.
I love Hunter Renfrow so much. I love him. He's just like a lower tier Cooper Kupp.
Dude is a PPR monster.
So much, dude. Just curl route after curl route after out route. And
here's the thing: I think Devonta Adams is going to be fine in Las Vegas. I don't think he's going to take a huge drop off. That's why he's 4.
He will get his for sure.
Yeah, and in fact, I have him ranked 3rd, and you have him ranked 4th. So, I think he'll be fine.
Yeah, my only thing is the Raiders aren't going to be the caliber team that the Packers ever were.
Yeah.
Like every year the Packers are Super Bowl contenders, really. The Raiders aren't. And so that, like, you're playing less games, you're
in
all this stuff.
The AFC West is one of the hardest divisions in football right now.
Who's in the AFC West?
Chiefs, Chargers, Raiders, Broncos.
Yeah. You're getting guarded by you're getting covered by some good defenses as well too. So
it's gonna be insane.
Yeah.
All right, Stephon Diggs, we have him as number 5. He had 103 receptions, 1,225 yards. He had 10 touchdowns, 285 fantasy points.
Man, his yards are so low in comparison.
Yeah, and he finishes the wide receiver 7 last year.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing: Gabriel Davis took a little bit away from that.
Well, yeah, because Gabriel Davis caught deep balls where the reason his yards are so little is because a lot of Stephon Diggs touchdowns or catches were like Josh Allen scrambling to the sideline, finding him in a pocket and hitting him in a zone. And like he's catching 15-yard passes.
They also had Cole Beasley last year. They also had Dawson Knox.
Yeah.
I mean, they still have Knox, but Beasley is up in the air. Stephon Diggs, I think those numbers are going to improve. I think you're going to have a similar number of receptions. I think the yards are going to improve.
Yeah.
The better Josh Allen gets, I think the better Stephon Diggs is going to.
Josh Allen is so good. Josh Allen is so good.
So now we get into Deebo Samuel, the wide receiver running back extraordinary. He had 77 receptions, 1,405 receiving yards, 6 receiving touchdowns. And here's where the money was made: 365 rushing yards, 8 rushing touchdowns, but with 2 fumbles lost. He finished as the wide receiver 3. Talked about him earlier. Not a running back. But
not a running back.
Like one.
For real.
8 rushing touchdowns. 6 receiving touchdowns. So that's 14 touchdowns. That is just below Cooper Kupp, who had 16. So, I mean, if you want touchdowns, Deebo's the way to go. But he may be transitioning away from that running back hybrid role.
Which is what he wants. Yeah.
It is what he wants, but it's not what the people want, man. People need
true. Fantasy owners everywhere
need 14 touch. And you know what? If he stays on the Mighty Bucks, I hope he doesn't run the ball.
Same. Hey.
There you go. Next one is Tyreek Hill. Go ahead.
I was just saying, look at the difference in like 77 receptions and 200 more yards than Stephon Diggs. Like in the air, which is just
that's crazy,
absurd. So,
So Tyreek Hill is our number 7 wide receiver. He is on my team, the Jayhawks. He has 111 receptions, 1,239 receiving yards, 9 receiving touchdowns, 96 rushing yards, and 1 fumble lost. So he is no longer a Chief, and that's heartbreaking for me. But here's the highlight: is the Dolphins are saying, we want Tyreek Hill to play more like Deebo. So you mean to tell me that I get Deebo numbers with Tyreek Hill? Is that what I'm hearing? Because yes, please.
But what I don't think is going to happen. Oh, okay. First of all,
and Deebo you mean Samuel, to tell me if he's running the ball, Tua's not throwing it to him?
Hey, Tyreek Hill and Deebo Samuel, they have way different body compositions, man. Deebo Samuel kind of is built like a running back who can catch the ball really well and run routes. Tyreek Hill is built like a punt returner, like who is
sound like
super.
Jalen Ramsey.
Dude, he's so fast though. Yeah. But like if he's getting hit like Deebo is, he's not sustaining his body can't hold up the way like Deebo does when he gets hit.
I think, but Tyreek Hill knows when and where to get out of bounds.
He is a menace when it comes to just running out of bounds every play.
I know. I think Tyreek Hill is shiftier than Deebo, and I think that put that. I think you're going to see a really fun season from Tyreek Hill.
I think you're just
my guys, the Tinker Soldiers and the Rad League, they love Tyreek Hill. They also have him as a keeper. We've been going back and forth, me and him, because Tyreek Hill, I struggle. I'm excited. If he's going to play like Deebo, I'm excited, but I still worry because the man throwing him the ball is Tua Tagovailoa and not Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, and of course you want Tyreek to be Tyreek, and Deebo, but like you're biased. And so on an unbiased opinion, it's like, man, I see him being a really great receiver in Miami, and I think he will do really well in that way. But if they want him running the ball a lot, it's going to be tough because their offensive line isn't even that great, you know?
Yeah. And I've struggled, I'll be honest, because I am a Tyreek Hill, like Tyreek Hill's on my team. I have to keep 4. And I went from having Devonta Adams and Tyreek Hill to now it's Tyreek Hill and CeeDee Lamb as my options. I really like Tyreek Hill. I think, and I hope and I pray that Miami is what he needs. And I hope and I pray that this season in Miami, that he is the Debo wide receiver 3, wide receiver 2, because he's running the ball so much. That's my hope. I think that's his ceiling. Unfortunately, I think his floor is a lot closer to not that.
Yeah, which is sad. Which is like,
yes,
you're gonna be like, hey, you guys, Tyreek Hill's on a trade block.
Yeah. I should have kept CeeDee Lamb. Yeah, that. But the ceiling is why you want to keep him. All right, next we go into Keenan Allen. We called him Mr. Consistency earlier. 106 receptions, 1,138 yards, 6 touchdowns. That's what kills me is 6 touchdowns.
Yeah, because
I mean, the team is good. They have Austin Eckler. They have Mike Williams. Their tight ends were phenomenal.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Justin Herbert could do it on the ground a little bit too. But if you are getting your projections for Keenan Allen every week, are you happy?
Yeah. Oh, man.
Like, okay,
not
if he hit projection every week he's projected 14, 15 points, and he hit projection every week. Are you happy or are you wanting more?
If I'm keeping Keenan Allen, I'm wanting more.
Okay. Yeah.
Especially as we have him wide receiver 8.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would expect more from these 12 than being like that consistent every week.
Yeah.
Like
think about it this way. You have 14 weeks plus the 2 playoff games in our league. We don't do week 17. You have those 16 games, take out a bye week, so you have 15 games of 15 points a game. You know you're going to get 15 points a game. You know you're getting it. There's no zeros. There's no ones. You're getting 15 every week. I'd be happy, but I wouldn't be happy if he was my wide receiver 1.
Yeah. That makes it better. But when Stephon Diggs is your Stephon Diggs is your wide receiver 1,
like he is with team, and then Keenan Allen can be your wide receiver 2, I'd be happy. I'd be very happy.
Yeah, I'd be ecstatic. Especially when
season,
Mike Williams is.
Yeah, Mike Williams at one point was the wide receiver 1, and then I started starting him.
Yeah. There's your mistake.
Yeah. Keenan Allen, he finished the season as the wide receiver 11 last season. Again, we call him Mr. Consistent. Next one is CeeDee Lamb. No Amari Cooper. That is the story of his offseason. We have offseason stories for other players. The story of CeeDee Lamb's, no Amari Cooper, and they extended Michael Gallup, who is hurt. Amari Cooper is expected to be the guy now.
And they don't
79 receptions last year, 1,102 yards, 6 touchdowns, 76 rushing yards. He finished the season as the wide receiver 19. One glaring issue I see with CeeDee Lamb's game. The dude has butterfingers.
Yeah, he dropped a couple passes last year that could have won you games legitimately.
Yeah. He is a ball dropper. Devonta Adams doesn't drop the ball. CeeDee Lamb is.
He probably knows that.
Yeah, and hopefully things are changing.
He's going to work on it.
He drops the ball. A.J. Brown is the next one. 63 receptions, 869 yards, 5 touchdowns, 180 points. He did get hurt during the season. He is now with Philadelphia. He was traded during the NFL draft. New QB, new system, new A.J. Brown.
Sure as heck hope so.
Yeah.
Because the AJ Brown that I saw in week 16 or 17 when he came back, whatever week that was, and he had like 150 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
That's the AJ Brown that we need. And that was Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah. Now you get Jalen Hurts in there, and I think you're going to see an improvement with AJ Brown. And if you don't see an improvement, it's because he's hurt. That's what it's
like. I can guarantee more receptions and more yards than that, like for sure.
Yeah,
because that's really low. And AJ Brown's an elite receiver for sure.
And now we're starting to get into draftable territory. We're getting into the players that will probably be available. And here's what I definitely think, looking at this list, from here on out, every player we name is going to be draftable in this league. They won't be kept. Number 11 wide receiver is Mike Evans. And he finished the season with 74 receptions, 1,035 yards, 14 touchdowns, which, okay, that is an astronomical number.
That's a lot of touchdowns.
That is as many touchdowns as as Deebo Samuel with 6 receiving and 8 rushing. Okay. And that is more than Keenan Allen and CeeDee Lamb combined.
Yeah. That's a lot of touchdowns.
That is a lot of touchdowns.
That helps when your quarterback is Tom Brady.
Thomas Brady, yes. Junior. So Mike Evans, he comes in as wide receiver 11. I really like Mike Evans right here. You have him ranked 12. I have him ranked 11. He was a wide receiver 9 last season. And here's the thing. If Brady isn't back, he's not 11 this season.
No, there's no way.
But Brady's back.
Their quarterback's like Kyle Trask or something.
Yeah. So we're now getting, like I said, we're getting into draftable territory. Do you think Mike Evans goes first
round? Man, it depends on keepers because it's like.
Well, think about the previous 10 are kept. Okay, let's just assume Cooper Kupp, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Devonta Adams, Stephon Diggs, Deebo Samuel, Tyreek Hill, Keenan Allen, AJ Brown, and CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb or Tyreek Hill, one of them will not be kept, most likely. So you're really looking at 9, okay? And then you have Mike Evans.
Yeah.
Do you take CeeDee Lamb or Mike Evans first?
I'm taking CeeDee Lamb.
Okay. So if you have 101 and you're down to those two, it's CeeDee Lamb over Mike Evans. Okay.
Yeah. Dak Prescott, only CeeDee Lamb. Yeah, I'm taking that.
T. Higgins or Mike Evans?
I'm taking T. Higgins.
Okay. Now, T. Higgins had 74, same amount of receptions. He had
60 more yards.
Yeah, 60 more yards, 1,091 yards. And then, but here's the kicker. This is what gets me. 8 less touchdowns.
Yeah.
And then 1 fumble lost as well on top of that. T. Higgins finished as the wide receiver 24. I still like T. Higgins. I really do. T. Higgins coming into the season is going to be, I think he's got room for growth. I mean, we talked about Jamar Chase having room for growth. If T. Higgins can keep that reception number at 74 and get another 200 yards and maybe 2 more touchdowns, solid wide receiver 3.
Yeah.
Solid wide receiver 3 and probably a really, really good wide receiver 2.
Yeah.
I think I would love to see, let's say Jamar Chase's reception number stays the same, get T. Higgins up a little bit more. And I think you're pushing into the territory that Tyreek Hill had, maybe 1,300 yards receiving, and then maybe like 7 or 8 touchdowns. Get rid of the fumble. You're looking at a good wide receiver 2.
I'm almost certain T. Higgins missed like 1 or 2 games as well.
Yeah.
I think he was hurt, but then he had the games like in the last 4 weeks where he was lights
really well.
out.
Yeah.
And so it's like, well, if he can he's capable, obviously, and he can catch the ball. Like we know he can catch. So he's a big dude.
So let me rush through the next 20 receivers because we're getting close to being out of time. Jalen Waddle is our 13. That feels high to me. DJ Moore.
Only because of because of Tyreek Hill.
Tyreek Hill, yeah. DJ Moore is 14. DK Metcalf 15. Again, DK Metcalf feels high, purely because of His quarterback. Deontay Johnson at 16. Chris Godwin, Michael Pittman, Brandon Cooks at 19. Then Terry McLaurin at 20. I don't love having Terry McLaurin lower than Brandon Cooks, but it is what it is. Jerry Jeudy, and then Cortland Sutton, Amari Cooper, Allen Robinson, bounce back year. He's now with the Rams. I'd love to see that. Michael Thomas coming off of injury, finally, hopefully. Elijah Moore, Hunter Renfrow, Darnell Mooney getting to be the wide receiver 1 in Chicago, Devonta Smith, Tyler Lockett, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and then Marquise Brown. And then he was going to be in our top 20, but because of his 6-game suspension, DeAndre Hopkins fails to make that list.
Yep, sadly.
But that's the way the cookie crumbles.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Pads.
we are going to wrap up this episode. Next episode, we're going to talk more keepers. We got Jayhawks, the Blintzes, and Bush did 9/11. We got their keeper predictions, and we also got running back rankings. And hopefully by next week, next episode, we will have confirmation from the owner himself about the relocation of Bush did 9/11.
Yep. That's
all right. Again, follow us on Twitter at Jedi Master Zach is my my Twitter handle. His is at _Jeremy Flores _. Also, don't forget to check out the 6 on Twitter and Instagram. That's at the 6FFL. All right. See y'all later.
Thank you for listening to another edition of the 6 Fantasy Football Podcast. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at 6FFL. Hit like and subscribe and hit the bell on YouTube. Follow on Spotify and check out our website, the6FFL.wixsite.com/the6.